Hola a todos, welcome. This is your next how-to video, and I am doing right now how to alcohol. This is going to be a compilation of not only my medicinal work and my understanding as a Chinese medicine doctor and the spiritual realms, but also just as a human who's lived a life. I've also before I was a licensed acupuncturist and doing medicine work full time, I did do a few stints in my 20s as a bartender. And I was also a resident assistant, or like the dorm police, if you will, in my time at undergrad at Stanford, during which I had to call the ambulance on a couple of freshmen for overconsumption of alcohol. So I'm coming at this from not only a adult place or a practitioner place, but just a general adult place with my different kind of understanding. So currently I am drinking this. Look at it in the sunshine. Look how bright and pretty that is. It is this cherry saison with a smoothie I made today. And the smoothie I made was with ripe bananas, an orange, a peach, some ginger and turmeric, and a little bit of cardamom and a little bit of orange blossom water. Delicious for summertime. I really love to mix my beer with smoothie fruitness or juice, some kind of juice. Because it gives me the kind of the craving thing. Like, you know, sometimes alcohol is just like, ooh, because what alcohol does is move the blood from a Chinese medicine perspective. Now, different kinds of alcohols do different things, and we'll get into that. But one of the things I love to do is drink a beer mixed with smoothie. And so I've been pouring this in slowly, so it takes a long time. It tastes really delicious. I also have nutrition in it, so it's not just sugar or processed sugar and yeast, right? It's actually fruit as well, which has fiber in it, which has other carbohydrates that are needed in the body. And then the ginger and turmeric are also, depending on how you use them, turmeric's very anti-inflammatory. Ginger is warming, so it can help stop any kind of bloating that one might get from beer. All right, so how to alcohol. That's a piece of orange. So many things. I want to start with saying that in America and post-colonial America, colonization did a lot of things to us. And one of the things it did was take away our connection to the great, take away our connection to spirit, take away our connection to people, take away our ceremonies, take away our gathering places. My bit of land in New Mexico that belonged to my grandfather, who was a half indigenous, half Spanish man from Mora, New Mexico. He had land out there, and they sold land in strips. So literally we have like about 15 acres, that's what they say, of land, maybe between 15 and 20. Nobody's really sure. The land is about 3 or 4 miles long and like 50 feet wide, not 50 yards, 50 feet. So what can you do with a strip of land? You can just like put houses where nobody can gather on it. That keeps people from gathering. So what they do in colonization is they take people away from each other, take community away from you, so you cannot gather, so you cannot convene, so you cannot pretty much rise against the majesty, right? So there's that. When we imbibe, when we use substances, it is an attempt to connect to something. It can also be an attempt to escape from something. And much of what we are escaping from is the rigmarole, the 9 to 5, the rat race, that the 1%, the colonizers, to this day, they still exist, that have us in this rat race. Now with the advent of social media, so many people, like even this Patreon, so many people are coming into their own, that we don't need this establishment anymore. So basically right now it's flailing, it's dying word. Support local, shop local, put your money into people that you know as opposed to big businesses. So spirits. They're called spirits because they give you some spirit. Because guess what? All of our spirit was ripped away from us unless you are put in a church. But what a church did was take God and put a middleman between you and God. So many people, even in my practice, they're like, I don't know how to connect to God. And it's like, well, all you do is to connect. There needs be no middleman between you and the great divine. That is an advent of colonialism. And that is something that we all need to be actively working to dismantle at any given time. And the way we do that is reconnecting with the self. So I consider my work liberation work. All right. Spirits open space for spirits. So when we are imbibing and drinking a lot, we want to make sure that we are understanding that we are opening ourselves as vessels for there to be spirits involved. Many people have potentially seen others when they get drunk like disappear, like it wasn't me, it wasn't you. That's because it's not, because it makes your spirit leave and someone else's spirit come if it's done unintentionally. And the way alcohol is done in this society is in dark, late times with all different kinds of unpleasurable spirits around, or pleasurable spirits, but it's iffy. So we want to drink intentionally. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about the different kinds of alcohols. So beer, I don't know. Disclaimer, I don't know a whole lot about making alcohol or distilling alcohol. I just know from my experience and what I've seen. Okay, beer has a lot of carbohydrates. It is in Chinese medicine damp and hot. Okay, so the heat is the sugar. Sugar turns into heat in our bodies. So if we drink a lot of beer, chances are we are going to have a lot of excess around the middle because it's sugar. So the liver metabolizes sugar and other toxins in the body, and when you are taking in sugar without fiber, it goes too fast. So when we eat a piece of fruit, for instance, there's a bunch of fiber, and the fiber acts as a buffer for the liver to metabolize the sugar in it. When there is no buffer, the liver cannot sustain that amount of metabolizing the sugar. So what it does is it creates fat pockets to store the sugar in until it can get to it. That's why obesity is caused by sugar consumption and not fat consumption. Okay, alcohol is sugar. So beer is dampness. It's very, very damp. It's sluggish. It makes you slow. It makes you tired. If you drink a lot of beer, it will it becomes like a marsh, like a bog. All right, your body becomes that. Your metabolization process becomes that. Many times you'll get little like lipomas, they call them, or benign fat tumors under the skin. That can be from drinking not just beer, but also excess sugar and hydrogenated oils. So that's one thing. That's also why I like to cut my beer with fiber. Okay. Now, alcohol also all moves the blood, right? And it has to be metabolized by the liver. The liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi and for storing blood. So let's say we're repressed, like a lot of women in this society, or men too, who get told what to do all the time. You want to drink alcohol because it kind of goes to the liver. It comes to the liver. So if you're a generally angry person, the liver would anger. It might make you less angry, or it could make you more angry depending on your propensity. So just be aware of how alcohol affects you like that. And what you really want is movement when you crave alcohol. So I suggest doing exercise or eating things with spices in them. Daddy's with baby. He's a little fussy right now. He doesn't like the heat. It's pretty hot. I'll come back to that. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be drinking beer. Beer also, because of its dampness and its yeastiness, lactation helps the boobies make more milk. So I don't feel guilty drinking beer. It's very satisfying for me, and I'm only going to drink one with the smoothie. So there's that. So good. Try it. Okay, so the more beer we drink, the more excess sugar and dampness we're going to have in our body. I think formally you are considered an alcoholic if you drink 2 or more alcoholic beverages 3 or more times a week. Alcoholism to me is when you can't go without it. Same thing being addicted to smoking, okay? Being addicted to anything is when you literally can't be without it, and that's like all you're thinking about. So think about that if you're drinking. Okay, dampness's symptoms. Lots of different symptoms. We already mentioned lipomas under the skin, extra fat gain. And it's not like fat that is like good for your muscles or good for your brain. It's like excess, okay? Also, I've seen people who drink a lot of alcohol, especially more hard alcohols and more sugary drinks with alcohol, hard alcohol, lots of acne. Acne is damp heat. This is the liver area, okay? Excuse me. So you can get acne a lot of different places in your body. Alcohol can exacerbate symptoms of shingles or canker sores or herpetic outbreaks anywhere in the body. If you get genital herpes, one of the things I tell you with the MD, don't smoke, don't drink. I would add no sugar, stay away from coffee, stay away from all alcoholic beverages, all fried foods and greasy foods and spicy foods, okay? Because those are all toxifying to the liver. Yes, little bumps on the body that are just filled with like white stuff, that's dampness. It's like cheese. My son's crying. I'm gonna let dad. Creator says dads need to dad, so dad's gonna figure it out. I have faith in him. Okay, I'll give him breast milk in a little bit after I drink my beer. So that is beer. Now, it moves the blood, so it quickens the blood. All right, so that's why tinctures can be so possible or so good. When I'm not in the practice of drinking alcohol regularly, I feel tinctures, herbs in the tinctures like boom, like that, because the alcohol is not masking the effect of how the alcohol moves the herbal constituents through the blood very fast. It's an amazing medicine if you need it to be medicine. Mixed drinks are a problem in general because there's usually a lot of extra sugar plus the alcohol. So if you like hard alcohol as opposed to beer, I really recommend doing it by itself, like sip a shot. So if I have tequilita, which is like an ancestral medicine for me, I will sip a shot of tequila as opposed to have a margarita because it's so much extra sugar, which again transforms into heat in the body and is toxic. It can be toxic, okay? Wine. Wine is very interesting. I prefer red wine to white wine because it's so rich in, I'm forgetting the name for it right now, but the grape seeds have grape skins have something in them besides being super beautiful and red and create that rich color. They have something that has a lot of antioxidants that's anti-aging. But red wine is really good to rebuild the blood. Okay, so I crave red wine a lot during the end of my pregnancy because it gives you that extra blood. It also is a lot of bang for your buck. It's like 12% alcohol, give or take, más o menos, as opposed to like 5 or 6 or 7% alcohol. So it's also very nutritive for you. Some alcohols, like hard alcohols, have different processed things in them. So I'm thinking of like, what are those bombs that everybody has? I can't remember what they're called, but they're like cinnamon flavored. Cinnamon itself is extremely hot. So it'd be one thing if they were using real cinnamon and that like warms the center so it wouldn't just be in the liver. Real cinnamon has an activation on the womb area or the Mingmen or the primordial fire to help your creative process, to help your sex drive, etc. That could be good, like a shot of it. Yeah, if you do too much of it and if it's fake, who knows what chemicals are in that. And because alcohol moves through the blood so quickly, when you drink alcohol with processed chemicals in it, that is also going to enter your bloodstream more quickly and have its effect. Okay, so we want to do straight alcohol over mixed drinks, red wine over white wine, in my opinion, and beer, just like cut it with something or don't drink too much of it, okay? So quintessentially, alcohol is just supposed to be like a little pick-me-up, a little fun, a little movement, all right? It's not supposed to get you trash drunk. When I was 21, I lived in Italy with my abroad program at Stanford, and it was only the American kids that would get trash drunk and crazy out and like make fools of themselves outside, because European kids, mind you, Europe in this really weird kind of ironic way isn't colonized much in the way America is by European ancestry people. So people in Europe they actually drink alcohol kind of often, but not a lot. Okay, so you might have a glass of wine every night, but you don't have 3 or 4 glasses of wine 2 or 3 times a week, right? So where you're like wasted. It is very much so part of a health regimen to keep your blood moving. If you go all the way back to antiquity, Dionysus is the god of wine, right? If you read the Red Tent, they're constantly fermenting different grains to make fermented drinks that give you that little bit of a kick. So this is what we're actually supposed to experience with alcohol. A good rule of thumb when you're out, and I learned this during my RA training, is just if you have an alcoholic beverage, have a water. Trade off like that, and that'll keep you from getting trash drunk. It also gives you time for the alcohol to actually affect you, so you're not just like, give me another one, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm actually feeling this, I don't need another one. That's a really good rule of thumb. Once again, it affects the liver. Alcohol affects the liver. The emotion of the liver is anger. So I've heard stories of people who get like turn into really mean, ugly drunks, or people who are kind of stern and when they drink, they're just like love everywhere. And that is because of the effect the alcohol has on the liver. But if you do too much alcohol over a certain span, you'll get liver sick. Cirrhosis of the liver is pretty much just like your liver is like swollen, right? And enlarged. My gallbladder, if I drink too much alcohol, will start hurting because the gallbladder is next to the liver, and the gallbladder also has to metabolize these toxins as a paired organ to the liver. And when the liver is overdone, the gallbladder takes a lot of that responsibility. So that's another thing to look at. So then the last thing I want to talk about is when it comes to alcohol, because they are spirits, because alcohol is a medicine that moves into the blood quickly, and everything we consume is part of an energetic process that we may or may not have any power in. Who made that? Where did it come from? How much did you pay for it? Who did you buy it from? Who made it? Okay. So I've had alcohols that have been literally made by my friends who are amazing fermenting angels, and it doesn't feel like alcohol, or it doesn't feel like the way I'm used to alcohol feeling. I've had infusions of bought alcohol, but friends of mine have put different fruits in it. And so once again, it has like an intention in it that gives it different properties. The fruits that you infuse in the alcohol will also give it different properties, okay? And if you put herbs in alcohol, the properties of those herbs are going to come through. So for instance, if you put Damiana in alcohol, Damiana is its own kind of like astral traveling herb. So it's going to have a larger or greater effect on your consciousness. Another thing about alcohol is doing alcohol ancestrally. So for me, on my dad's side of the lineage, they're tequileros. They love tequila, and we drink tequila shots mostly, and sing a lot of mariachi music and laugh and joke. My grandpa fed me tequila like at 9 a.m. He was like, "Mija, un trago al día se cura todo," which means one drink a day cures everything. 1, not 7. Because it moves things through. It keeps the blood moving, okay? This is also why on certain pharmaceuticals they say don't drink, because if they're anticoagulants, for instance, and they're not supposed to let the blood clog, then your blood extra thins and you have a very high chance of a bleed out, right? Same thing when you drink too much alcohol. Or it clots in some places because the body's funny like that. So are you drinking ancestrally? If you have Irish descent, you'll probably do better with whiskey than if you don't. Most alcohols, straight up alcohols, are depressants. The only one I know of by way of its fermentation in the, I can't remember what they're called, but the way the plant is fermented to make tequila, it is the only upper alcohol that there is. So if you drink too much hard alcohol, you will be depressed. That's just a thing that happens. So things to think about. How much have you drank? Where did it come from? What are your intentions in drinking? Did it hit you yet? Like, take a minute, take a break, drink some water, and see if you're altered enough that is a healthy altering. One of the things, I'm glad I was raised kind of hood. My mom would show us in the hood, the crackheads, and show us, you know, the alcoholics, and talk to us about her drug experiences growing up. And she would be like, alcohol will kill you. So I got that talk when I was like 10 maybe, or 11. So I never overdid it because I knew I could die. And so alcohol is an intense mind, spirit altering thing that can kill you if you overdo it. It's not meant to be overdone. It is meant to be enjoyed in a way that is intentional for a purpose. So for me today, I said it was a really great way to bring this in. It relaxed my liver a little bit. I'm not as constricted. Not that I'm ever super constricted. I try to be free, right? But I could add my smoothie to it. It could be an example. It helps my breast milk. And hopefully this helped you out. Yeah. All right. So if you have any questions, go ahead. Guys, Patreon is like, it's like a community. I'm trying to do better at getting into the community of it, but I invite you guys to like type your thoughts, ask me questions. I want to be more engaged. I'm working on a schedule now that I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have some help from a dear friend of mine on Wednesdays so that I could be more engaged. So please, by all means, start conversations with each other in the dashboard, I think it's called, in the community, and keep the conversations open. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting this work. And happy, healthy alcohol experiences to you. Peace.